Thanks, Leo. The Living Theater is at Roanoke College, doing a stint there, doing some workshops and some performances. What is the Living Theater, you ask? I talked to Jerry Guralnick and asked him to explain.
We're very interested in new forms, trying to develop new forms of theater. We're also very interested in the politics of our time, in making theater that addresses what's going on here and now in our lives. And so we usually look around to see what's going on in the world, in our current lives, and we create our own plays together to address those kinds of issues.
And in creating those plays, is it just the group's ideas going around to different colleges, or do you incorporate other ideas?
Well, when we do these workshops, when we come to the colleges, we sit down first with the students and we say to them, what's going on in your lives? What's important to you that you want to say in a play? And we have this structure that the Living Theater has been using since the 70s to go into a community, gather people in the community, and sit down with them and say, this is a play about you. You tell us what you want to say. We'll give you the form and the structure to do it.
You've mentioned politics. You've mentioned things different than the norm. Are you a bunch of radicals traveling the country, going to colleges?
Well, we do have a particular point of view. We're very interested in pacifism and in exploring those kind of ideas and how we can apply them to what's going on in our world. We're also very interested in examining our political system and thinking about different alternatives, other possibilities.
How do you tie that into theater? And what are you giving to these kids that take part in the workshop other than your point of view?
You might call our kind of theater a more ritualistic kind of theater. So when you come to see our play, instead of seeing characters sitting down in a dining room and having dialogue, we do more of creating poetry, expressing our feelings more through movement, group kinds of activities, that sort of thing. So instead of seeing a kitchen sink drama, you're going to see more dance, more reciting in unison.
Welcome back to News 7 Morning. Today we are talking about the Living Theater performing at Roanoke College. Had the opportunity to speak with Jerry Guralnick the other day and asked him to tell me how much is the group that comes in and does the workshop and how much of the performance is the students.
Oh, I'd say maybe 90% of it is the students. We ask them what themes they want to express in their play. So we have a discussion with them, and it goes from local issues to personal issues to world issues, and then we take 6 or 7 of those themes that they come up with, and then we break up into small groups, and whoever wants to work on whichever theme works on that theme. They create the text, they create the staging, we advise them, we try and give them tools to work with. And of course, you know, we work as directors. We want to make it as theatrical as possible. We show them a lot of different techniques that we've developed over the years to give them a vocabulary to work with.
Has your theater's advantage in bringing that kind of edge to kids kind of diminished because everything now seems to be so wide open? Are you just another theater group?
Well, the reaction that we get from the students has always been very good. They may have done some kind of experimental theater like this, but I think that this sort of thing where they sit down and they say, what's going on in our lives right now? Let's express this right back to the community that we're in. It's so immediate. I think it's a new experience for them.
If you would like more information about the Living Theater, they'll be putting on a performance out of the workshop that they've done at Roanoke College. They'll be putting the performance on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Roanoke College. You can call the main number for the campus, and they'll be glad to give you any more information.
It's fascinating to watch them.
Yeah, they come in, they do a lot of movement. Like I said, no scenery, so it's very, you know, and they also said they get the audience involved. We're going to talk about the differences between the concerns of different kids across the country coming up in a few moments.
Okay. Very cool. Thanks.
News 7 Morning, we've been talking about the Living Theater. It's a group that travels around the country, does workshops with theater students at different colleges and introducing them to experimental and avant-garde theater. Had the opportunity to speak with Lois Kagan-Mingus. She is one of the members of the Living Theater, and I asked her to tell us if the concerns of the students she sees in different parts of the country are all fairly similar.
yes, the students have somewhat the same concerns, but more importantly to me, they are so forthcoming and anxious and wanting to share their ideas, and those ideas that they have in common are not unexpected. For instance, education, generally speaking, campus life, sexuality, sensuality, drugs, alcohol, problems on campus, things like that, family life, communication, all these things actually which reflect what you and I think too, but for the ones that are inappropriate, such as campus life. But I was delighted to find this because I thought that we were going to have to spend a lot of time drawing them out, and I have not found this to be.
When you travel throughout the country, then, does it end up being go to place, insert problem here, and you already have the form, or are they very specific when you do these workshops?
I would say they're very specific. And I mean, I could make a broad statement like communication. However, everybody perceives that in a different way. And although, as we've said, we offer particular forms inspired by the living theater, but they will, as it said, tweak them. They'll make it their own. And that's what's so exciting. We're bringing avant-garde experimental theater to the students, but they adapt it, they change it, just as I imagine has been done with living theater actors for the last 50-plus years.
We talked earlier about what you hope they get out of it, theater-wise, what you hope they experience. What is it you hope they take away from it other than the theater learning part?
Well, this is very important to me because I also teach people that are not theater students and indeed adults. And I hope the same for them as I hope for our students here at Roanoke and other campuses that we've visited. And that's something about simply being human and communication in general, and to be able to take that risk and open up. And it's about the truth. Of course, as an actor, you always want to tell the truth, but it's not so easy to do that on stage. But I think the more experience you have in this type of theater, the more successful you're going to be as a human being.
What is it you hope they impart upon audiences who come to see their final work?
A thought, a moment, an instant of reflection. I think that's what theater is. Theater is, as the cliche goes, it's a mirror of who we all are. And if one person in our audience in these 3 days that we're performing here thinks, I never had that thought before, I'm going to pursue that. I'm going to talk to my husband about that, talk to my children about that, whatever that thought be. That's very exciting to me.
If you would like more information about the performances they'll be doing on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Roanoke College, you can give the main number of the college a call, 375-2500, and they'll be glad to fill you in.
Yeah, very intense performance
Very
there.
intense,
Wow.
and like I said, dealing with the things that the students want to deal with, and then they work on it and during the workshops and put it into a form and make the presentation. And the audience gets involved, so be prepared.
Be prepared to perform
headed out
yourself.
this weekend.
All right, thanks, Steve.